I will be your speaker for this session, and it is about one and a half hour session, and where we will be discussing about how to create a full stack application using Angular and Firebase. So let me share my screen, and then we'll go in detail about this. Let, there is some issue. I think there is some issue with the display. Just give me a moment. Yep, we are back. So, hello everyone. So today, my name is Ankit, and today we are going to discuss about how to create web application using Angular and Firebase. So let me introduce myself. I am an author and a speaker, and currently I am working as a senior member technical with ADP at Hyderabad in India. And I am a I am continuously writing for multiple platform across the internet like C Sharp Corner, DZone, TechNet Wiki, and I also have my personal blog, ankisharmablogs.com. So you can visit that and you can read articles about Angular, Blazor, Microsoft Technologies, .NET, SQL Server, etc. And you can also tweet to me at ankisharma_007. So let's discuss what this talk is going to be about. So first we are going to learn how to create a web application using Angular and Firebase, and what are the features of this application will be, that will be CRUD operation. It's a CRUD application. So create, read, update, and delete. So we'll be creating a sample employee records management system, and in that application, we will be creating employee data. We will be fetching the data from the database, and we will be using Google Cloud Firestore as our database. So we are, and then after we will be displaying it on the UI using a form, and then we can update the data, you can delete the data. We are also going to implement Google authentication in our application. Google authentication means authentication with your Google ID, Gmail ID, and we are also going to learn how we can host this application on Firebase. So let's. So for the tech stack on the UI, we will be using Angular. For the database, it will be Google Cloud Firestore, and for hosting, we will be using Firebase. So let us start with the first question. What is Firebase? So Firebase is a mobile and web application development platform, and it is developed by Firebase in the year 2011, but it was later acquired by Google in 2014. You can consider Firebase as a backend as a service. So it will provide a full-fledged backend functionality for your application, where you can create your databases, you can host your application. So it will give you all the services which a backend can provide for your application. So it's a comprehensive app development application platform which provides up to 18 products. So another important question is, why Firebase? Why should I use Firebase? So for the reason for that is, Firebase allows you to have very fast development without worry of managing the infrastructure. Everything comes out of box of the Firebase, and you can directly integrate to your UI application to it, and it's similar to a plug and play environment. So we will be seeing how easy it is to develop and integrate a Firebase to your Angular application, and how easy it is to do all the data manipulation with your Firebase database. It is built on Google infrastructure, so it scales automatically, and it is very suitable for a large enterprise-level application also. And it provides supports for a wide array of operating systems like iOS, Android, Web, Unity, and C++. So Firebase provides you over 18 services, and these services are categorized into three different categories: app development, improving the app quality and for business growth. So here you can see I have listed out few of the prominent services, and if you want to check the all the 18 services and read more about them, you can go to firebase.google.com, where you can find the list of all the 18 services which is provided by Google, sorry, which is provided by Firebase. So in the app development, it provides you Cloud Firestore. So we'll be using Cloud Firestore today as our database. It's a NoSQL database. So if you are coming from a MongoDB background, you are well aware how a NoSQL database work in a JSON kind of format. So Cloud Firestore provides you a NoSQL database. It provides you authentication. It provides you authentication from different services like Google, Facebook, Twitter, email ID, and all other third-party applications also. But for today, our application we will be using Google authentication. It provides you hosting also, so you can host your application on Firebase for free, and it provides you machine language kit also for any machine language related things. Similarly, to improving the app quality, it provides you performance monitoring features, crash analytics, Rest labs, app distribution feature, and for business growth, it provides you Google Analytics, which allows you to look at the analytic data of your particular website, how many users are visiting, from where they are coming, what kind of data they are searching. Then it provides you cloud messaging services, remote configuration, and a lot of other services similar to that. So to check out all the list of all the services provided by Firebase, please go to firebase.google.com, and you can find everything in detail over there. One thing to mention about Firebase is that it's not completely free. It's a freemium kind of product. So there is a basic version which is completely free with some limitations, and then there is an enterprise level version which you have to buy a license for, and then you have to pay money. It's for that. So again, the details are available on firebase.google.com. So you can refer to all the details over there. So let's discuss about the application. There is not too much of the theory here, so we'll directly jump into our app development. We'll discuss how we are going to build our application. So for the application which we are going to build, it's a pretty standard Angular application. So the prerequisites for this is a Angular development environment, Node.js, Visual Studio Code as an editor. You can use any other editor also. I am using Visual Studio Code, so I have mentioned over there, and Angular CLI. So what is the first step? The first step is to configure the project on Firebase. What does this mean? So when we create an Angular application, we need to talk to Firebase also. So how do we talk? How do we establish that connection? So to do that, we have to navigate to Firebase console.firebase.google.com, and we have to create a new project. So I will be showing you how to do that in a bit. So once we create the application, it will give us a SDK code. We have to put that SDK code in our environment file of our Angular application, and then in that way, when the application is executed, it will talk to our Firebase project which we have built. So we'll be seeing this in action in a minute. For this application, since we are using Firebase, we have to install some packages. One of them is called Angular Fire. So the command is mentioned over here, npm install Firebase and Angular/Fire. So we have to install this package. And once you install that package, you have to include this in your app module.ts file so that it will be referenced. So we have to install, you have to reference Angular Fire module and Angular Firestore module, since we are using Firestore database. That is why we have to use Angular Firestore module. Then for the designing, I am using Bootstrap. So you have to run the command npm install Bootstrap, and then again you have to reference the Bootstrap style sheet in your styles.css file. And for Google authentication, I will be directly showing you things in the code only. So let's go to the first step. So first step is to create. Okay, before going there, let me show you what we are going to create today. So this is our application. This is already deployed on Firebase. I will be sharing the links at the end of the session. But let's see how the application looks. So once you launch the application, this is the home page. Here you can see it is showing the employee data in a tabular manner. Here there is a table where the data is only in a read mode. It's you can only read the data. You cannot do any manipulation on the data. So we have a login button on the top, and there is a GitHub link also. So this GitHub links to the source code of this particular application. So once you click on login, a model pop-up will open, and it will ask you to log in with your Google account. So let me log in with my Google account. Once you log in successfully with your Google account, you can see that there is a edit and delete link is added corresponding to each row. And on the top in the nav bar, you can see there is a add employee button is also added. So these links are allowed, these functionality are allowed only for a logged in user. That is why we have put a condition that only logged in user can access these links. So if you click on add employee, a form will open. Here we are using the template driven form approach to create the form. And here you can create a form. So let me add a name, something. And here you can select the gender, department, let's say HR. And the interesting part is the city field. So it's a drop down. Here you can see there are 4 cities mentioned over there. So this data is coming from the Firestore database, Cloud Firestore database. So we have created a collection, and we have stored the city data over there, and this is how it is being shown. This is how it is coming from there. So if we add any new data, then this particular list will change the value accordingly. So we select a city and click on save. So it will redirect you to the home page, and here you can see the added employee at the top with all the data, and here we have edit and delete functionality. So if you click on edit, again the same form will open, and here on the UI on the URL bar you can see the link is edit slash the ID of the particular employee, and here you can see the data. And let's say you want to change something. Let's say you want to change the city to something, and then here you want to like something like this, and you click on save. Again the data will be updated, and here you can see the updated data over here. And if you click on delete, let's say if I click on delete here, it will ask for a confirmation, and once you click on OK, data will be deleted. So this is what about the complete CRUD operation, plus we have the authentication using Google also. Now I discussed about how to create we have to create a project on Firebase. So how we are going to do that? So let me open this console.firebase.com. You have to go to console.firebase.com. And once you log in to console.firebase.com, this is your home page, and you have to log in with your Gmail account. That is very important. And then here you can see the add project button. So you can see other projects also. So these are my old projects which I have already created. So here is the add project button. And here you have to enter the project name. So let's say I give NG Kenya. And here it will give a unique identifier to your project. Click on continue, and it will ask that if you want to configure any other services like A/B testing, user segmentation, and targeting across Firebase product extra. If you want to enable Google Analytics, so we'll make it false for now, and click on create project. So once I click on create project, it will start creating the project, and here you can see the project is getting created. It will take a minute to create. So let it finish. So the project is ready. Click on continue button. So you are after you click on continue button, you will be redirected to the project overview page. Here you can see all the configuration on the left side, like authentication, database, storage, hosting, other things. So we are going to see that in a bit. But before that, there is one very important part. So we have created the project, but we have not told our Firebase that what kind of project is that. So if you remember, I told you earlier that we have different kind of support for different kind of operating system like iOS, Android, and web and Unity. So here we are going. So here we can add an app of the type which we want to use. So we are using a web application. So we'll click on this web icon here. Once you click, it will ask to register app with any name. So I will give NG Kenya as the name. You can give any other name, and click on register app. Once you click on register app, it will give you an SDK. So it is showing that add Firebase SDK. So it will give you an SDK over here, this detail. So this is very important point. So how we are going to use that, I will show you in a bit. Now I have already created a Angular application. This is an Angular 10 application which I have created. I have already created few components and all. So I'm going to give you a complete walkthrough of how things are working. But before that, let me show you one important point. So once I get this particular data, where should I put that? So let me copy this. You copy this data, and you have to go to your environment.ts file in your Angular application, and then here you have to put the data in a JSON format. And this is some lint errors. Let me fix this and save it. So you have to add this data in your environment.ts file, which is very important. And then same data will be put in your environment.prod.ts file, because this is how it is going to, this is what we are going to use when we deploy the application also. That is why we will put the same data in environment.prod.ts file also. So here you can see it will give you all the connection information which is required to talk to which is required to establish a connection between your Angular application and a Firebase application. So here you can see we have the API key, the auth domain, like what is the domain name of authentication domain name of our application, then database URL, project ID, and all other details. One important point to note is that this is a private data. You should not expose this to any other user. Otherwise, it will create problem, because anybody can access your database and it will be a problem for any unauthorized access. Second important point is, let's go to app module, and inside the app module you have to write this particular line. So you have to you remember that I told you that we have to install Angular Fire Auth package while working with the Firebase database. So once you install that Angular Fire module, here you have to import that Angular Fire module, and then you have to write this line: Angular Fire module dot initialize app environment dot firebase config. What does this mean? This means that you are asking that your application should be initialized with the configuration which is mentioned in this particular path. So what configuration we have mentioned? The same configuration which we have just copied from our Firebase. So whenever we launch the project, and app.module will be kicked in, and at that particular time, this particular line will be executed, and it will initialize our app with all the details mentioned over there for the Firebase configuration. And then in this way, our Angular application can talk to a Firebase project using this particular SDK configuration. So this is how we establish a connection between an Angular application and a Firebase application. So this is very important point to understand how to establish a connection between an Angular and Firebase application, so that in the latter part, when we do database calls and all other stuffs, it will be easy for you to understand how the data is coming to and fro from the application and the database. So I will repeat this again so that the people can understand clearly. First, create a project on your Firebase and get the SDK and put that in your environment.ts file, and same in your environment.prod.ts file also. The reason we are putting this in environment.prod.ts file is that it should be available in the production environment when we are going to deploy the application. In the app module, inject this Angular Fire module project, Angular Fire module in the your app module, and then in the import section, initialize the app using the configuration which you have just defined in your environment.ts file. So this is the way where the connection between Angular and Firebase application is established. Okay. Now, what is the next step? Let me remove this here. Click on continue to console. So this is your application console page. Here you can see on the top your application name, NG Kenya, which I have created. And on the left side, you can see multiple multiple properties which we can configure for the application. So we are going to click on database, and here when you once you click on database, you can see that we will get the option to select the database. So first step is to create the database, because we have not created, this is a new application. Once you create the database, click on start in test mode. So if you click on start in production mode, it will require some extra configuration. So I am skipping this for now, but how to configure this I will be telling you at the end. And at the end, Right now we'll go to click on start in test mode, and then we click on next, and then you can select any location as per your choice, which is near to your location, so that the data read and write will be faster. And once you click on done, the database will be created. So let's wait for that to finish. Okay, so this is done. Now, if this is a NoSQL database, so how this works is that it works on the concept of collection. So it has a collection of data in form of a key value pair, something similar to a JSON. It has a complete JSON structure. So if you remember when I show you the demo of the application, and when I click on add employee, I told you that the city data is coming from the database. So all these four data is in the database. So that is the first step. We have to add a city collection over there. So let me click on start collection, and here you have to write this collection ID. So let me write the city as the name and click on next. Here it is asking to add any data in the collection. So right now document ID will be auto. We can make it auto ID, or we can provide our own ID also, but let's keep this auto ID. So what is the field name? Field name will be city name, because we are adding, and type will be a string, and the value I will give Hyderabad. This is where I am currently staying, and right, click on auto ID and click on save. So right now I am saving one data. Once you click on save, you can see that the city collection is created, which has one document. So, and inside that document, we have the field, which we have added city name, Hyderabad, right? Now, let's say right now I have added only one field here, but let's say if you want to add one more field or two fields, how we are going to do that? Again, click on add document, give the field name, same name which we are using, type and value. So, and click on auto ID to generate the ID automatically, and then click on save. So that's how you can save another data here. So right now for this demo, I'm going to show only two city data. You can add another data similarly. Now we are going to have a collection where we are going to store the employee data. Since this is an employee record management system, so we will be having employee data. But we are not going to create it here manually. We are going to create it from our Angular application. So we are going to write some code which will automatically create our collection also. So this is all about the cloud Firestore database. Now, once the database configuration is done, next step is to go to our application, and then we'll see how things work over here. So let me close all these things first. I will show you with the services. Let's start with the services. So I have already written the methods over here. So yep, it is working or not working. Okay. So once we are going to launch the application, at that point of time, okay, just give me a moment. I think this is not the correct code base which I am supposed to work on. I'm supposed to work on this code base. Yeah, this one. Yeah, good. This is where we have added all our environment.ts files and our employee services. Let me close all this. Okay, so we have our employee services over here. Now, the important point is when we create our service. So I hope you guys already know how to create a service, because there are few basic things which I'm not going to cover, like creating a component, creating a Angular application. I hope you guys already know about that. So we have used Angular CLI here to create our component services and Angular application. So this is a service with the name employee service. So the work of this service is to handle all employee related operations like create, read, update, and delete operations. So here we have written we have inside the constructor we have injected the Angular Firestore class. So if you look at this Angular Firestore class is imported from Angular Firestore. So if you remember, we have already installed this package Angular/Fire, which will allow us to, which will provide few methods and classes which will allow us to talk to our Firestore Firestore database. So once we inject here Firestore, the first method which we are going to write is get city list. So we have just added the city collection. Now, when we launch the application, we need to make sure that that particular data is available to us. We need to fetch that data. Then only we can bind our drop-down list. So inside this will return an observable. So the important point is this collection. So it will, the Angular Firestore class will provide a collection method. It will take the collection name. So if you look at this, the name here city is the same name which we have created over here. So this is how we can call our collection. We have to provide the name of our collection. So db.collection collection name, and a snapshot changes will provide us a stream of data, like an observable of data. So it will provide us an observable of data which is available in the city collection, and we'll use the pipe operator and map it to a particular array, and then we'll return the city list array from here. So here we are using a spread operator to unlock unfold the data which is coming back in terms of which is coming as an array. So it will come as like a payload.doc.data. So using a spread operator, we will unload that and then we'll return that list from here. So this is a pretty standard way. And the very good part of using Firebase is that this snapshot changes always return a continuous stream of data which works kind of observable. So it returns an observable basically. So since it's observable, so whatever changes you made in your database, it will be instantly reflected on the UI. So I will be demoing that also today. So similar to get city list, we have a save employee method over here. So once we get the employee data, so I have already created a class of type employee. So this class will contain all the information which we want to send for employee, like employee ID, this name, city, department, gender, etc. So these are the data which we are going to send to employee. And then we'll parse the data in the form of JSON, and then we'll set db.collection employee.add employee data. Now, if you look here, it is showing that db.collection and then a collection name employee. But if you look at the database, we do not have any collection with the name employee. So how this is going to work? At this point of time, when this is run for the first time, it will check if this particular collection exists or not. So for the first time, it does not exist. So it will create the collection and then it will add the employee data inside that. And in the next time when we add the employee data, it will check if the data collection exists or not. So the next time the collection already exists. At that point of time, it will not create, it will directly add the employee data. So that is how it works. If the collection exists, it will add the data, and if it does not exist, it will create the collection, then add the data. So that is how this save employee, this particular code is working. Similarly, we have a get all employees method. So it will return the list of all the employees. So this is similar to what we have for get city list method. Here also we are returning all the data inside our collection. So it will return an array which will contain all the data which is present inside our collection. So this method has the same structure as we have for get city list method over here. So if you see, we are calling the collection employee. So we have already we will be implementing a save employee method for the first time, and if it will again call the db.collection. So this is a get method. You can consider that this is similar to get method, and if the employee collection does not exist, it will return empty or null. And if it exists, it will return the array of data which is present inside that. So again, we are getting the observable using a snapshot changes, and then again we'll map it, and then we'll return the employee list, which is an array of data. Here also we are using a spread operator to unroll the data, to unfold the data which is coming as an array. Now we have another method which is called get employee by ID method. So what does this method does? So it will fetch the employee data corresponding to an ID. So here we are going to pass the employee ID. So what is employee ID? Employee ID is nothing but the document ID over here. So in case of city, we have a document. So similarly, when the employee data will be created, we can see that the document ID will be working as the employee ID. Here, how we are going to call? We are going to again call db.doc employee, which is the name of our collection, slash the ID which we want to call for, and dot value changes. So it will give me the value of data. It will directly send me the observable of the data, uh, and then we'll return this from here. Similarly, we have an update employee. So in case of update employee, we'll again the update employee is same as the save employee. So in case of save employee, we use the method called add. Here if you see, we have used call the method add. In case of update employee, we'll be calling the method update. So what we are going to do, but in case of update employee, we have to pass two parameter. One, the data which we want to update, and second, the employee ID for which we want to update. So here we are calling db.doc employee, which is our collection name, and we are passing the employee ID and then clicking on and calling the update method and passing the data which you want to update. Finally, we have a delete employee method. So it is pretty simple. We are just directly calling db.doc employees collection name slash the ID, which is the document ID, and dot delete method on top of that. So that is how we are calling all the CRUD operation related methods for this. Now this employee service is created. So let's see how to fetch the employee data on our uh, application. So we have an employee, we have a home page over here. On the home page component, so let's talk about this. So this application has two parts. One part will be doing the CRUD operation, and other will be of doing the authorization and authentication. So the auth part will be covering later. First, we'll cover the data part. So this is the home component. So as soon as the application launches, this home component will be shown, and on the home component, we are going to show the data in a tabular manner, which I have already shown you in the demo. So so this is the home component. Inside the ng on it, we are calling this dot get employees method, and inside the get employees method, here we have this employee service dot get employee. So we have created this get all employee method. So this will be called when we launch the application on the home page directly, so that as soon as the application is launched, all the data which is present in the database will be fetched and displayed on the UI in a tabular manner. So we'll get this employee service that got employed, and we'll subscribe to it. And then we have a variable called data, which we have a variable called employee list. So we are populating to that, and we will be binding this employee list in our HTML. So we'll be discussing on that also. And we have a delete also here. So once you click on delete, it will ask for a confirmation box, a confirmation. So if you click on yes, if it's true, it will call the delete employee method, and it will again call the get employees method to refetch the data and show the updated data on the UI. In the home component.ts, it's a pretty simple, straightforward bootstrap table. So I have used the table strip table for the design, and on the header we have put name, gender, department, city, and actions. So actions will come only when the user is logged in. So we are going to see this login part later, after some time. And here we are creating the row using an ng for. So we are going to iterate through the employee list. So this employee list we have already populated over here. Here in this line, we already populated the employee list, and once the employee list is populated, we are going to display it in our UI. Now I think this application is already running. So yep, the application is running. So let's see this. So this is the home page. Let me close this here. So on the home page, you can see no data is coming because we have not added any data at this point of time, and we are seeing the table only. So let's go and talk about adding a data also. Okay, so let's discuss about that, how we are going to create a form to add the data. So this is about fetching the data. Let's discuss about adding a form for the data, and then we can see the end-to-end flow of the application. Now here for adding the data, we are using a template driven form. because it's a very simple form. So I prefer template driven form. And so if you guys want to know how forms work, what is the difference between template driven form and reactive forms, then you might want to check my previous talk for NG Kenya, where I have discussed about forms in detail. So it will be available with NG Kenya YouTube channel. You can go through that. So here is the template driven form, and it has the name field, the gender field here, and then we have a department field, and here we have a city field, and here we have the save and cancel button. So now there is one interesting part. So you remember that we have added a city collection in our database, and when we are launching the form, we have to bind that data from city collection to a drop down list in our form. That is the requirement in the city drop down. So that is what inside ng on init we are calling the get city list method of the employee service, which we have already created previously, and then we are populating the city list data here. And in the UI, if you go here, you can see that using the ng for inside the select, we are binding the data to our city data here in this particular line. So city of city list, which we have bind in using on ng on it. So as soon as the application launches, a service call is going to be made to our Firebase data, Cloud Firestore database, and it will return the list of the cities. And there we are going to use an ng for to bind it to a drop down list. So that is how the data will be populated as soon as the page is launched. Okay, and then we have a submit button here, save and cancel. So if you click on the save button, this ng submit method will be invoked, and it will call the employee form submit method. So inside the employee form submit method, we have a if and else statement. So let's explain what is this if and else statement do. So we are using the same form for both add and editing functionality. So how our application is going to distinguish between the add and edit functionality? For that, what we are doing, we are taking the help of the URL parameters. So in case of edit, we will be passing the employee ID, but in case of add, there won't be any employee ID. So inside the ng on init, what we will do, we will check, sorry, inside the constructor only, we will check using the activated route dot snapshot dot paramat dot get id. So this particular id is defined in the routes of our app module. So here in the app module, if you look, we have defined the path, right? So the definition, if you look at this, the path definition for add employee and edit employee, if you see the component name are same, employee form component for both. So we are going to the same component in both the cases. So, but the path is different. In case of add employee, the path is add employee. In case of edit employee, the path is employee slash edit and ID. So this particular word ID, this word should be placed over here to fetch the ID value from the URL using activated route class. So we are fetching that employee ID over here, and inside ng on init we are checking if employee ID means if employee ID is set, this means this is an edit call. So if this is an edit call, we'll set the title to edit so that it will be shown on the form, and then we will fetch the employee data based on that particular ID, and then we'll bind it to our model, employee model, and this employee model is being binded to our form using ng model. So you know that in case of template driven form, we are using an object to bind the data to the form. So this is the particular employee object we are using to bind the data to the form. Therefore, if the title is edit, sorry, if the employee ID is set, we'll set the title to edit. We'll fetch the employee data for that particular ID, and we'll bind our object to that particular data. And our form will contain that is how our form will contain the pre-populated data of our employee. Similarly, in case of form submit also, we are going to check that this dot employee ID. If this dot employee ID means if the employee ID is set, then this is an edit call. So if you click on submit, then it will be an update call. Therefore, on employee form submit, we will be checking if employee ID is set, then we will be calling the update employee method. And if it is successful, we are navigating to the home page. However, if employee ID is not set, in that case, it will be an add call, right? We are trying to add a data. In that case, we are calling employee service dot save employee method. And once it is successful, we are navigating to the home page. We also have a cancel button. If you click on cancel, you will be navigating back to the home page. So that is how our that is how our application structure is working. Let me remove this auth guards as of now, and then I will show you the working demo, and then we can relate to the things. No, this is not the demo. Just give me a moment here. Let me add employee. We'll go to add employee page. So the link is not shown because in the navbar component, I have added this ng if app user. Where is that? Here. Let me. Hmm. Here you can see the add employee form. Once you click on once you navigate to the add employee form, you can see this form. And as soon as the form is loaded, if you click on this drop down, here you can see the two cities, Hyderabad and Mumbai, which we have added. Now I will show you a very interesting part. Just give me a moment. Huh. So this is our city collection. Here we have two data, Hyderabad and Mumbai. So in the case of add form also, in the city dropdown, we can see both Hyderabad and Mumbai as the data. Now, if I go to database and if I click on add document and I add a new data, let's say Kolkata, click on auto ID, and as soon as I click on save here you can see this will be added here in the list. Important point to note here is that I have not refreshed the page. The data is directly pushed from the server to my UI application. Without refreshing the data, I am getting the updated data in my in my drop down over here. So this is very important point to mention because our how this is working. This is how the logic for here is that if you go to employee service here, you can see that this get city snapshot is returning an observable. So as soon as there is a update, there is an update in the database, the updated data will be sent over there, and since we are already subscribed to that observable, it will be automatically updated. So this is a very important and very crucial feature of Firebase, which allows you to have, allows you to create very wonderful application if you use it correctly. So I will just give you one example. So I have created one multiplayer tic-tac-toe game where you can play with anybody in the world over the internet using shared using a same board on the tic-tac-toe. So there also I am heavily using this particular feature where if the database is getting updated, then all the subscription to it is getting updated. It is like a multicast subscription. So this is very important point of to note about a Firebase database. So let's add a name here, and let's add a city and click on save. As soon as you click on save, here you can see the data is getting shown on the home page, because when you come to the home page, this particular this get all employee method will be called, and then we can it will fetch all the data. Now, if you remember that get all employees method, we are calling inside save employees method, we are calling db.collection employee. And I told you that while adding the data, it will check if the employee collection exists or not. If it does not exist, it will create and then add the employee. So earlier we did not have any employee. Let's go back to database and let's refresh this database. Let's refresh this page. Once you refresh this page, you can see the employee collection is created. This particular collection is created by app, our application, our Angular code which we have written, because this does not exist earlier. Once you click on save button for the first data, it will create. If I go there and click on add employee, if I add, let's say another data, and at that point of time, I click on save button. At that point of time, it will use the same collection and it will add the data instead of creating a new collection. So here you can see now we have the another added data which we have just added. So that is how the collection on the Firebase Cloud Firestore database is working. If it while adding the data, it will check. If it does not exist, it will create the collection. If it already exists, it will add the data to that. So this is how the CRUD operation of this particular application is working. Now comes the auth part. So for that, we have created an authentication service. But before using the auth part, we have to do some configuration on our Firebase application also. Let's see what is the configuration. So you go to project overview page and click on the authentication. And once you click on the authentication, here you can see a sign in method tab. Click on the sign in method tab. And here you can see all the different method which Firebase provides so that for use as a authentication service. So here you can see in the sign in providers list, we have a Google also. It is currently disabled. Click on this edit icon and enable it. You can select the email ID, click on save. Once you click on save, you can see this is enabled. That's it. Your Google authentication is enabled on your Firebase project. Now we have to do the configuration in our Angular project to take use of that. So how we are going to do? Let's see that. So we'll create a service. The name of the service will be auth service. You can create a service of any name. I am using auth service here. And we are going to create a observable of type app user. So app user is a class which I have created, which contains the name, email, and photo URL. So what we are going to do is, I will give you a little bit of background. So once we add a user, we are going to store the name, email ID, and the photo URL which he has set for his Gmail account in our application. So once you log in with once a user logs in with a Google account, the Google will Google will provide this data to us via the auth service, which via the auth service which we'll be using now. I will be showing you how that works in a minute, and then we are storing this in our database. So the question is why we are storing this in our database. So that is completely for demo purpose. That is not mandatory to store in database. The reason I am storing in my database is that I want to see who all are visiting my application. So that is the only purpose of using that. It is not mandatory to store it in database. So let's go to auth service. So here I have created a observable of type app user, and in the constructor, okay, before that we have a login method. Let's talk about this login method, how login method work. So in the login method, first we'll check for the return URL. So we are going to see if the return URL is set, we will return that value. Otherwise, we'll return the current value. So how return URL is set? So once we implement a auth guard, at that point of time, the return URL will be set. So I will be showing you that workflow also to you in a moment. And we are going to store the return URL in our local storage so that once you refresh the page, it will not get lost. Otherwise, if the page is refreshed, the return URL will be lost and the user is not able to navigate to the page which you originally wanted to navigate. Now, this is very important line, or I will say the most important line. So here you can see this AF auth is a object of type Angular Fire Auth. So Angular Fire Auth is a class provided in Angular Fire Auth module, and here we are going to use this. We are injecting this Angular Fire Auth class in the constructor, and then in the login method we are going to call sign in with pop-up method. So you remember when I click on the sign in button, a pop-up model opens which asks me to log in. So we have a sign in with pop-up method for that, which will give me a pop-up. We have other method also like sign in with redirection. So if you see sign in with redirection, sign in with redirection, see redirect, sign in with redirect, it will redirect to a new page. So you can implement this also, and there are a lot of other methods which you can go through and you can explore that. But I personally prefer sign in with pop-up because it will not navigate your user outside of your application. It will be opening a separate pop-up, so user will be always available on your particular application only. And inside that, we are going to write new Firebase auth dot our authentic provider name. So what provider which I want? I want Google Auth provider. So that is why I have written Google Auth provider. Similarly, we have other method like Facebook. I will show you. See, Facebook Auth provider. If you want Facebook, you can use Facebook Auth provider. Similarly, you have Twitter Auth provider. So there are different auth providers available, but I am using Google Auth provider because I want to implement the Google authentication. So once you log in with that, it will return. So it will return a firebase.auth.user credentials. It will return a promise of type firebase auth.user credentials. So it will return certain user data if the login is successful, like username, photo URL, etc., email ID, etc. So once the user logs in successfully, we'll catch that data, and then we'll call a update user data method with that particular user data. So here is our update user data method. So if you go here, you can see that here again, we are creating a new document of type app user, and we are storing the data as per the user.uid. So for every particular login, we will get a unique ID also. And I already told you that we are going to store the data in our database. So what data we are going to store? Name, email ID, and photo URL. And we are also going to show this photo URL in our navigation bar. So if you see when we log into Google or we log into Gmail, there is a small photo also shown on the top nav bar. So we are going to implement a similar feature for that. So we'll be seeing that in action. So once we store the data in database, the user data will so here we are adding that, and then we are successfully returning that. And now this line is very important. Merge equals to true. So merge equals to what we are doing, that user ref dot set data merge true, which means that if the data already exists, you can merge the you can override that instead of creating a new set. So that is what we are doing. We are overriding the new set. For example, if I logs in today and I log in again tomorrow, then I have the same data, right? Which because the username, email, photo, everything will be same. In that case, there will be a, always there will be a there is already a particular document. There is already a particular data for my name. So I don't want to add a duplicate data. That is why I am overriding the existing data and by setting a merge true here. So that is how we are storing the data in our we are storing the user data in our database. Now we have the logout method. So what method will do? It will directly we will directly call af auth dot sign out method. It will sign out the user, and then after sign out, it will return a promise. So after the sign out, we will navigate the user to the home page. So once the sign out is successful, then user will be navigated to home page. So that is how our this auth service is working. Now, what is the use of this app user observable? Why I have created this? What is the reason for that? So this the use of this app observable this app user observable is that I told you that we have a functionality to show a few links such as add or edit to only logged in user. So for that we need a way to know that user has logged in. That is why we have set this app user login over here. Now, in the constructor of our service, what we are doing, we are checking this af.auth state. So this auth state method is provided by our Angular Fire Store, Angular Fire Auth class, and it will return an observable of your authentication state. So if user has logged in, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So this method is provided by our Angular Fire Auth class only. Here we are checking if the user has logged in, means if user has logged in, then what we are going to do that we are going to return the data which is stored in the app user with particular user ID, and then from this data we will set the we will check the user ID and as well as the image URL which we are going to show in our navigation bar, else it will return null because the user has not logged in. So that is why we are setting the app user observable property over here. Now, if you go to the navbar component.ts, in the navbar component.ts, in the constructor only, we are subscribing to that particular app user observable, and then we are setting a object of type app user, and we are setting the value to that. And in the HTML, what we are doing, we are using an ng if to check ng if app user, which means if the app user has logged in, then this particular app user object will be set. Then we'll show the link add employee, else we'll not show that. The important point is here, we are showing the image. So I told you that we are showing the image similar to what is shown when we log into Gmail or any other email client. So similarly, here we are using that particular photo URL property. So once the user logs in, we'll show the photo URL on the navbar. And then we have a login and logout button, which will directly call the login and logout method. And then we have a link for GitHub link of our application. Once you click on login, it will call the authservice.login method, and once you click on logout, it will call the authservice.logout method. Similarly, inside the home component.ts file, inside the constructor, again we are subscribing to the app user method of the auth service, and we are setting the app user object over here. And in the HTML, while setting the actions tab, that is the edit and delete tab, we are checking if the app user is set, which means if the user has logged in successfully, then show the actions tab. And inside the actions tab, here also we are using a ngIf to check, and we are showing two links. One is for edit and one is for delete. So that is how the links for add employee, edit employee, and delete employee will be shown only to the logged in user, not for all the users. Now, at this point in time, there might be a question which you might ask that right now everybody has a Gmail account, and if I deploy it on a public space, anybody with a Gmail account can log in and can edit my data or delete my data. So how we are going to handle that? So for that, you have to implement the concept of authorization. You have to implement the concept of admin and user. So how to do that? So that thing uh, I cannot explain you with this application, but at the end of this talk, I will tell you how we can implement, because I have another application. I will redirect you to that application. There you can see that I have implemented role-based authentication to a Angular application using Firebase. So we'll be discussing about that particular thing also. Now, let's go to our application again. Right now, let's refresh. Now, if I see right now, there is no link shown. The add employee and edit or delete employee link is not shown over here. We have a login button shown. If I click on this login button, the sign in with pop-up, you remember we discussed the sign in with pop-up method is there. So sign in with pop-up method will open, and it will show you our, ask you to log in. Now you see this particular line. See, to continue to ng Kenya F6379 firebase-app.com. So this, you remember, this is the name of our project which we have created. So it is giving you the information where you want to create for which application is asking for the permission. So let me log in with Gmail. So I have already logged in with Gmail. That is why I just click on that particular email ID and it is logged in. In your case, it will ask for a username and password and all those authentication steps. Now here you can see I have logged in successfully. Let's start with the nav bar. On the right side, you can see a small user icon is shown, right? So this is coming from this particular line here in nav bar. So here is that. Here you can see we are setting this app user.photo URL. So that is how this particular photo URL is coming. This particular photo URL. This is my logged. This is the photo which I have set for my email ID. So if I log out, for example, and let's say I log in with any other email, let's say I log in with this one. Here there is the default image. I have not set any custom image. So see, the default image with my initials are coming, Ankit. So that is how it will work. Then we have add employee link, edit and delete employee link since the user has logged in. And if I click on add employee, I can successfully go to the add employee page. And if I click on edit employee, I can go to the edit employee page. Now here, see, very important part about edit employee link. Let me cancel that and let me click on edit again. Here you can see we have the link as edit slash an ID. So from where this ID is referencing. So this ID is getting referenced from our Firestore database. If you go to our Firestore database here, and if you go to the employees collection, here you can see this is the particular ID. See this? If you look at this, this particular ID is same as our document ID over here. And this is our data corresponding to that. So you can see name Rahul, gender male, department HR, city Kolkata. Same thing is here, name Rahul, gender male, department HR, city Kolkata. It is coming. So that is how this ID is referencing, and that is how when we navigate to this particular route, the get fetch employee with ID method will be invoked, and using this particular ID, it will fetch the data from the employee collection, and it will return this particular set of data. Also here you can see the app users collection is created, and here you can see I have logged in with two of my email IDs, and here you can see the data corresponding to that. My email ID for which I have logged in, the name, my name which I have used in my email ID, and the photo URL. So this all is provided by Google directly. So once the user logs in, the Google authentication will send you the app data, which contains all this data along with a lot of other data also. But I am using only these three set of data here. So that is how this app user collection is working. So now you have understand that if the collection is not set, in case of app users also, the collection was not set earlier, and as soon as the first user logs in, the add method is kicked in, and it will add a new collection with the first set of data. And for the next time, it will directly add the data to already existing collection. That is. Hello, there is some noise. Hello. There is some noise. Okay. Yeah, please mute yourself. And once I click on log out here, see right now I am on employee edit employee form. Once I click on log out, I will be navigated to home page, and all the links will be gone here. Now the final part of this application is auth guards. So auth guards is we will create a auth guard for our application. So if you know about auth guard, the auth guard will guard our route against any unauthorized access, which means we will only allow the logged in user to access particular routes. So in our case, we are going to implement auth guards for the add employee and edit employee forms. So only a logged in user can access those forms. So we will create a auth guard, and here also we will subscribe to our app user observable, which we have set in our auth service. And if user is set, we will return true. Else, if the user is not set, we will redirect to the home page, and then we will set the query parameter with the return URL as the current URL which the user wants to access. So what is the advantage of setting return URL? So let's say I am logged out, and I try to access the add employee page, but since I am logged out, I was not allowed to access that page. And then, but instead of that, in the URL, a parameter with the name return URL with the value as the URL which I was trying to access will be set. And when I log in successfully, after a successful login, this return URL will be resolved, and then we will be redirected back to the that page. So how this return URL will be resolved? It will be resolved in our auth service. So here you can see when I click on login, it will first check if the return URL is set. If the return URL is set, it will get the return URL from the URL, and it will set the value in the local storage. And once the login is successful, we will be redirected to that. So let me show you that in action. So before that, in the app module, let me add the guard. So here you can add the can activate guard. We are using the can activate guard over here. So once you add the can activate guard, let me go over here and let me try to access the add employee page. So if I try to access the add employee page, since I am logged out, you can see I was not able to log in, and there is a parameter set query parameter with the value return URL equals to the URL which I wanted to access. So I wanted to access the add employee URL. So that is why the value of return URL is set to the URL which I wanted to access. Now, once I click on login, and as soon as I successfully logs in, I will be automatically redirected to the add employee page. Let's see that in action. I logs in, and here you can see I am redirected to add employee page automatically. So that is the advantage of using setting the return URL, so that the user flow and the user experience will be good. Otherwise, if you don't set the return URL and we don't redirect the user on login, then in that case uh, we need to mm, uh, manually ask the user to navigate to that page. So here, what we are doing in app component or TS file is also very important. Here I have put the comment also for you guys to understand. So I will also provide the GitHub link at the end of the code, end of the session, where you can go and see all the code in action. So what will happen? It will check if the return URL is available in local host or not. So if you remember, while logging into application in the while clicking on login button in the auth service, there only we are checking if the return URL is available or not. So if the return URL is available in our route, then we are setting the value in local storage. And inside app component.ts file, we are fetching that value using local storage.get item. We are fetching the value from the local storage, and we are checking if not return URL, then it will directly return, else it will remove the item from local storage and it will navigate us to the return URL. So that is how this automatic redirection is working in when we are logging into application. So before logging into the application, if the return URL is set, then it will store the value in local storage, and it will log in into the application, and in the app, since app component will be called again, here we will check if the return URL is set in the local storage or not. If it is set, we will navigate the user to that particular URL and will remove the value from the local storage. So that is how the authentication part works. That is how the CRUD operation works, and we also discussed how our this route guards are working. Now, the next part is how can we deploy the application to Firebase. If you look at the demo, this demo is publicly accessible. You can see firebaseapp.com, which I have given, but which the application right now which I have created is still in the local environment. So how we can do that? So let me show you the steps for that also. So the first step is to run the command ng build prod. So we'll run the command. So it is going to take some time, but let's see how much time it is going to take. I think it will take some 3 to 4 minutes to build. So what we are going to do here is, before running this ng build command, you have to make sure that you have stopped your local build. So if you are running your application in local using ng serve, you have to stop that. Then you have to run this ng build prod command. So the prod flag means it will build your application for the production environment. And once the prod build is successful, we are going to deploy it to Firebase. So meanwhile, let's see what are the things we have here. Okay. Let me run this. So the first step is I will show you here also in the slides. So first step is while deploying to Firebase, we have to build the Angular application with the production configuration using the command ng build and using the and hyphen prod flag. Once the project is build is successful, we have to install the Firebase CLI. So the command is npm install g Firebase tools. So in my machine, the command is already this application is already installed. But you, if you are doing it for the first time, this is a one-time work only. It's like a command line tools for Firebase. So that is what you have to install. So this is only a one-time job. You don't have to install again and again. And what is this now? The question is, what is this navigate to dist/project name folder? So once you run the ng build command, what it will do, that it will create the production build for your application, and all the files will be created inside the dist/ the project name folder of your application. So dist stands for distribution, and the project name will be the name of your project which we have created. So inside that folder, all the build file will be created. So I will be showing you that once the build is successful. And then we have to log into Firebase CLI. So we are going to see all of this in action in a minute. We are waiting for this build to getting successful, ng build prod command. So let it get deployed. It will take some time. So if you guys have any question at this point of time, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, Ankit. It's really amazing that you've actually taken us through almost the basics of building a web app using Angular. So if I could start with my question, So my question is with regards to authentication, right? So we already know that you can actually sign in a user using Google authentication, which is as we can show over here. Now, my question is, so when, for example, you are using, say, the forms, let's say you want someone to input their first name, last name, middle name, all those information, and then probably whether you're using a template-driven form or a reactive form, and say you want to get access to the display name. So I had an issue with when I'm trying to access the display name. Later on, I found out that display name is kind of there's an interface already built for it on when you import the package for Firebase, the Angular Fire. So when you want to access the display name, you won't be able to do so unless it's signed in using Google. So I don't know how you'd go around that. So are you going to get the display name the same way you get information, for example, a city, an employee, or how are you going to go about that? I don't know if my question is well understood.
Yes, so what I understand is that you want to fetch the first name and last name instead of a display name, right?
Yes.
So see, the thing is that the names is not in my control, right? I am not generating myself. This is
Mm.
returned by the sign in object. So once the user signs in with the Gmail account, the authentication
Mm.
object is returning the user data in the response. So here you can see on the UI, here you can see in the database. So my name is as Ankit Sharma. So
Yeah.
this is what it is returning when I logs in. So
Yeah.
here using the space we can I am not sure that if they are returning a separate object as first name and a separate object as last name. In my opinion, they are returning one object which contains the name.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so it contains the complete name directly here. So if you want to separate using first name and last name, maybe you can use a space, but again that is not 100% effective because some people have a space in their first name also. The different people have different kind of name. So I am not sure if there is a separate object for first name and last name, but you can always check that. What you can do is that you can clone this repository. I will be sharing the links. And in the auth service, here you are getting, see this, const credential. You see this line? So what it is doing, this will returning the auth object. This const credential will contain all the response message. You can, using console.log, you can log this data, and then you can see whatever the object they are returning. And then you can manipulate that object as per your choice.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So here you can see I'm using credential.user, which contains all the user data like user.email, display name, photo URL, etc. So here I think the user is using the Google is using the object name as display name. I am not sure if they have first name and last name, but you can always check that by using console.log for this credential.
Yeah. So yeah, my main issue was that when you're not using Google Sign In, you're using a normal form, so like a normal sign up form that
Okay.
has first name fields, last name field, middle name fields, and
Hmm.
then now, for example, you want to display the user's name when someone when they log in, for example, and you want to
Hmm.
show it maybe at the top right.
Hmm.
How are you able to access that name? Do you do it the same way as is done here with you see with the normal when you use the Google sign in or Facebook sign in or GitHub sign in,
Hmm.
you see the interface of display name. You can actually get the names from there, but when it comes to you using a custom way of doing it, it kind of has a problem. Like it seems
Okay,
like you
so
have
I
to,
understand your point.
yeah,
So this
yeah,
this is this is your answer. So
yeah.
I have already created an application. I am showing you on the screen now. So
Yeah.
this application uses backend as a SQL server. I am not sure what is the backend of your application. So I
Okay.
will show you. So let's say if I log in here, Ankit, password, and I click on login, you can see it is showing my name over here. You can see that.
Yeah.
So if I log out, if I log in with some other user, I'm not sure if there is some other user I remember, but you got the point which I'm trying to say over
Yes,
here, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So if I log in with the name as Ankit, and here you can see that it will show the logged in username. So what I am doing here in this application is that in the database, when the user logs in, when the user signs in, I store all the data in database like first name, last name, password, etc. And while making the login call, in the response, I am using a JWT token here. I am using a JWT in this particular application.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go to it. It's bookcart.azurewebsites.net. You
Mm-hmm.
can go to it, and the GitHub link is also provided. You can go to my GitHub and you can search for it. It's free and open source. You can go through the code. You can easily understand that once the user logs in successfully, I am returning the first name in the JWT token. And on the Angular, I am unwrapping that JWT and fetching the first name, and then I am displaying here.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So the JW token is allowing you to be able to access that person's first
Yes,
name or last
yes.
name, name. Okay.
So after successful login,
Yeah.
I am sending the data, the first name data
Uh-huh.
from my backend to the JWT
Uh,
via JWT to the UI. So for the
okay.
detail, you can always refer to this application. You can go to
Mm.
my GitHub. I think you have the link to my GitHub. You can go there. You
Yes.
can search for
Uh,
book cart. The name is book
okay.
cart. You can search for
Mm.
the book cart name, and you can see the source code. It's open source. So meanwhile, let's finish this session with the final thing. So here you can see the ng build prod command is run successfully, and there is some warning is also coming. I am not sure it is showing that dependence on Firebase app. You can ignore this warning. This is, I'm not sure why this is coming, but you can see that it is successful. The build prod command is successful. Now let's discuss about that dist folder I talked about. So let's open the application here. Let's open the folder. So this is my project folder, the project root folder. Here you can see there is the dist folder over here. Dist folder means distribution. Distribution. So here distribution means we have created a production build, which means I am interested in distributing this application to the world. So that is how like dist folder is referencing to it here. Like you are creating a production build, and it will be created automatically inside the dist folder. And this particular configuration is done in your angular.json file of your project. So let's not go in that detail. For now, let's just think that after you create a production build using ng build prod command, it will be created inside your dist folder. So once you open the dist folder, here you can see a folder with the same name as your project name. So my project name is FB demo, the short for Firebase demo. So here also the project name is FB demo. So I have a folder with the same name. That is what I meant when I showed you the slide over here. In the slide, I showed you that dish/project name. So here dish/ the project name is FB demo. So if you go inside this FB demo file, here you can see this is my production file. This is all my production related file which is created after I run the ng build prod command. Now at this point in time, we have to deploy this to Firebase. So how we'll do that? Let's see. We go to this FB demo, the root folder, which is the FB demo. We open the command prompt over here. And the first step is to install the Firebase CLI. The command is given npm install g Firebase tool. If you cannot remember this command, you don't have to worry. Directly Google how to install Firebase CLI. You can get this command. I have already installed, so I'm not going to do that again. This is a one-time work. Next command is Firebase login. So let's see what will happen. Once I click on, Firebase login. So once I click on Firebase login command, it will ask me to log in into Firebase via CLI. And we have to log in with the same Gmail ID which we have used to log into our Firebase application while creating the project which we have created now, right? We have created a project. So while we use the Gmail ID, we have to use the same Gmail ID over there also. Why it is taking some time? I'm not sure why. Let it run. Okay. So So it has opened the Google Chrome, which is the default browser, and it is asking to log in. So I have logged in with this Gmail ID. Let me log in with this Gmail ID here again. And once it is showing Firebase CLI login successful, close this window, and where you can go here you can see success logged in as this particular username. Okay. Now it is login is successful. Another command is Firebase init. Init stands for initialization. Now, once you click on this, it will ask, are you ready to proceed? Yes, I am ready to proceed. Now, the next question it will ask, which Firebase CLI feature do you want to set up for this folder? So here, what we want to do, it will show you a list of options. You want to use database, you want Firestore, function, hosting, storage, emulator. There are a lot of features. What we want to do, we want to do hosting. That is why use arrow key to navigate, go to hosting, click space to select. Here it is written over there also. Press space to select the feature. Press on enter to confirm. It is confirmed. Now, next is it is asking you want to use an existing project or create a new project. So if you remember, we have already created a project with the name NG Kenya. We are going to use the existing project. So click on use an existing project. Once you click on use an existing project, it will give the list of all the projects which is present in your Firebase account. So here you can see the NG Kenya project, which we have created at the beginning of this session is also present. Select that, click on enter. Once it is done, it will ask a set of questions. What do you want to use as your public directory? Now, as at this point of time, you remember that we are all our configuration file is present inside this FB demo folder. That is why we are going to give the name as FB demo. Means we are going to use FB demo as our public directory, which means it will take reference of all the files which are present inside this folder. So we will give this name, press on enter. Next question, configure as a single page application. Yes, click on yes. Now it is saying that file fbdemo/index.html already exists. Overwrite yes and no. So what does this mean? Let's understand that. So when I click on create a configure as a single page application, so you know that in a single page application there is only one index.html file. So once I said that yes, create it as a single page application, it is trying to create a new index.html file. But we have already run the ng build prod command, and in that production build there is an index.html file already created, which is the index.html file of our application. So we do not want to override that. Why? If we override that, then this Firebase will create a default index.html file which will contain some default configuration. We don't want that. We want an index.html file which is specific to our application, which is already created by ng build prod command. Therefore, in this case, it will we will say no for override. So it will do some configuration, and it will configuration is successful. Now at this point of time, if you go to this folder here, you can see there are three files created. One is firebase.json, one is gitignore, one is firebase.src. So if you can open this file, you can see all the configuration detail. I am going to show you the detail in this firebase.json file for now. So let's open this. So once you open here, you can see the public name which we have selected. We have selected the name of the folder, and here it is saying, see, source name, destination is index.html. What we want to ignore? We want to ignore the JSON file, the node modules, etc. All this configuration is available over here. So this is just for the information purpose. The final command is Firebase deploy. So once you click on Firebase deploy, what it will do, it will deploy all these configuration files inside this FB demo folder to our Firebase project. So once this is successful, it will give you a URL link also. See, it will give you hosting link. Here you can see the hosting link is https ng Kenya. What is that? This is our project name, project name.web.app. So copy this. Once you copy this, you go here, you paste it, and here it is, your application deployed on Firebase, which we have just created. All the functionality will work as it is. You can log in with Google. So let's demo that. Once you click on login, okay. Once you click on login, once the login is successful, you can see all this add employee link. You can add employee. let's add this. You can see all the CT data also, which the 3 CT which we have added earlier. Click on save, and this particular data will be added here. You can click on edit. You can edit this. You can see the data is edited, and if you click on delete, you can perform the delete operation. So that is how you can deploy a Firebase application to a Firebase to Firebase. So now this is the final step of this session. So let me summarize what we have learned till now. So we learned how to create a project on Firebase. We learned how to create a Cloud Firestore database. We learned how to create collections in our Cloud Firestore database. Then we created Angular application, and then we have linked that Angular application to our Firebase project, and then we perform a CRUD operation on our Angular application, and we use the Firestore database as our backend. And then at the end, we deployed our application to the Firebase so that it will be available publicly. We also have implemented Google-based authentication for our application, where the user can log in with the Google, and we are also storing the data such as the photo URL, the username, and the email ID, and we are displaying the photos of the user once he logs in successfully. So that is the whole end-to-end flow of the application. And before we leave, I want to show you one thing here, which is this particular page. So I want you guys to take a note. Where is that? Here, the resources page. So I want you guys to make a note, maybe take a screenshot or whatever you prefer. So first is the app demo. So this is the demo application which I have already deployed. You guys can go there and play around with that application, and you can see how things work in live session. And in the live in the app demo site only, in the nav bar, you will find the GitHub link of this particular project. So if you go to this ngcrud882fc firebase app.com, I will show you in the demo here directly. Here you can see this one. This is my demo site, and on the nav bar you can see the GitHub link. Here you can go there. It is publicly available open source project. You can see the code which we have discussed today in action. So that is about this. And then we have a free ebook. So this is very important point. So I told you in the beginning that we can implement a service a authorization feature also, where we can have multiple role like admin, user, and other roles also. But see, that is a kind of advanced or complex feature, and it is very difficult to demo in this this small amount of time. And also with the application which I just showed you is a pretty simple application, just a basic CRUD operation. But let's say if you want to build some complex application where you have more user interaction and more complex logic, how you are going to do that? So I have written a free ebook where I discussed about how to create a full stack application using Angular and Firebase. So this is the link for that book. So here you can go here. It's around 110 pages book, and this book is freely available to download. You can go to this site and click on the download button, and you can easily download that book. It is free of cost. So download this book, read it, share on social media, tag me. I will be happy to help you guys if you are facing any issue. So in this particular book, I have created a blogging application with the help of Angular and Firebase. I am going to show you a demo here. So this is the application which I have created in my the book. It is something similar to a WordPress, where you can add a blog, delete a blog, log in with Google. You have pagination. You can see. So this is a add post where you can add a blog. Here you can click on this and you can have comments. You can have option to share. All this is created using Angular and backend as Firebase. Then you have pagination. You can select pages per items per page. You have all these features available. So this, how to create this particular application, is described in this book, which is completely free and which is completely freely available for download. So you can go, and in this book is written for a very basic and new user also. You can easily read and understand everything, how to create a Firebase project, how to create a Firebase project for production production environment, how to deploy application on Firebase, how to log in with Google, how to do complex features like reading a data, writing data, storing comments for every blog, those kind of application, how to use custom pipes, how to use Angular material, everything I have explained in this book. So this is a very comprehensive guide for anybody who wants to start with Angular and Firebase. So that is the another part. And finally, you can go to my blog, and where you can read about the articles like on Angular, the Microsoft technologies like .NET, Blazor, C#, etc. So this I will advise you guys to go through all these resources, read and understand, and feel free to share with your friends. All of this is completely free for community and open source, available for free and community, and is open source. You can tag on me on social media and feel free to share your feedback. And that is all from my end. Thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you like this session. Thank you.
Oh, this is amazing, and it's actually a privilege that we have you here as a speaker for the second time, and at the same time, you've also written books with regards even to the topic they've talked about today. Thank you very much, Ankit, for this. And for those who also love to also listen to some of the talks that he's given another one on forms. So just go on to our YouTube channel, and you'll definitely find some of the sessions. So if anyone, before we close, is there anyone who has a question? Anyone have a question? Okay, all right. Yeah, Ankit, thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time for this. If possible, you could share with us some of the links that you haven't shared before, also the GitHub repo, so that we can just share it to the community. Also, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who has attended this session. As usual, we will have this recording uploaded on our YouTube channel, and just always be on the lookout for the notification that we will send through either our Twitter page, or we'll even email you the link to the YouTube link to the video. So without much further ado, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ankit once again. It's been a pleasure to have you. And yeah, I'll personally go and download the book, because I've always been looking for something at least to always be referring to. Even if, let's say, for example, I don't have electricity, maybe I just have my phone. I'll definitely love to have like a PDF just to read over materials. Thank you very much.
That book is completely free. Feel free to download and share with the community and everyone, your friends and colleagues. That would be very helpful.
All right, sure. Thank you very much. And guys, please let this not be the last thing you do. Just go and we'll share the link also. So just go there and download the book. If you find it helpful, please always send like some sort of like appreciation, tweets or anything. Share what you've learned through Ankit's book and all that. And yeah, it'll be amazing. And please, let's keep on doing this for the community. Anyway, thank you everyone, and I'd like to wish you all a good night. Thank you, Ankit.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.